I'm Lou with another episode of My Car Story. And today in the early automotive series, friend of the channel, historian Alan Travis, we've got a big whopper for you today. Alan, what year, make, and model is this one?
This is a 1907 Renault AI with a 521 cubic inch motor, 7.5 liter, 4-speed transmission, 90 mile an hour, 2-to-1 ring and pinion ratio car.
Let's take a look. 500 cubic inches. Let's take a look at this. I can't even imagine that they would be thinking that in 1907. So let's look at this. First of all, you're greeted by these massive headlamps. Tell me something about those, because that's just amazing. They're beautiful headlamps.
The headlamps, even the lenses are like lighthouses. They're 14.5 inches in diameter.
Wow.
They've got beautiful sterling silver wicks on the inside, and they're carbide and water lamps.
Let me show those from the side. Those are just massive lamps, and maybe some of the most beautiful lamps for a car of that period that will go from there. Obviously, it's a crank.
It's crank start. It's 1907 VCC certified as a Renault race car.
Which means it's the real deal. Go ahead.
It's totally real. So that you have to fly your car or ship it to England to get that certification done, which takes 5 years.
Okay. And this is so you could service the engine with the hood down?
Yes.
Okay. Let's come over here. I see right in there we've got our, for the speedometer.
Yes, that's speedometer drive.
Okay.
That was real common. It also has shocks on it, hydraulic shocks for 1907, stock ones. That is really unique, but it has them.
Let me show it on this side. Where would I see that?
Over here.
Right here.
Yep.
Got it. Okay. I'm with you.
Dampening of sorts.
Got it.
Doesn't take care of the speed bumps in our neighborhood, but
right.
It's pretty good.
Now, I'm going to step back from it, and then we'll get close to it. So come on with me. I want you to take... You know what? Do me a favor. You're in your time period, correct? Just stand by it so people can get the massiveness. You're 6 foot tall.
Big car.
All right, now come back if you would, please. Thank you. So that gives you an impression of how big this thing is. Now we're going to take our time on some of these pieces. Let's start with this whistle here that comes off the exhaust.
This is a Gabriel horn. WK Vanderbilt put it on. So when he and his group of fellow race car people would come back to Mansion Row in Newport, Rhode Island, he would be going 60 or 70 mile an hour, which is enough speed to engage this Gabriel train horn. Most train horns for cars in our era are 12-inch long little flutes, half-inch diameter. Not this. There's 10 foot of 2.5-inch tubing on that one.
So what would happen? How far was he out from the house when he would summons this thing?
He wrote in Log of My Motor he'd be 2 miles away and they could hear that he's coming. Again, there's no freeways at the time. There's hardly any cars at the time.
Yeah.
So if something made that much noise and there's no train track, it was him.
All right, let's go back to our wheel and rim here. We've got this massive weight that you can see. I actually see some string in here.
Yeah, these are wood wheels.
Yeah.
And we live in a dry climate.
Yeah.
Arizona, so they go clickety-clack in Arizona.
Okay.
So in Arizona, I tie it behind the spokes. And when I go back east or where it's moist, I take the strings back out again.
Got it. I want to show right off the bat. So tell me about this hood. First of all, beautiful. There's the paint on that. It's amazing. How do they do that? Is that
this
gold
hood
leaf?
is cast aluminum.
Okay.
And this is built into the hood, the bronze, and it was put together 115 years ago with rivets.
I see that.
So when we painted it, we didn't try to cover those up because
rivets.
that's how it was made.
Right. Who did the painting here? That's amazing.
A local painter here in town.
That's fantastic. Now tell me about this radiator, because usually you'd have that on the front of a car. So what's going on here?
The radiator holds 16 gallons of hot water. It's got 3,200 vertical copper tubes that are soldered in the top and the bottom and 2 places in between. So that's over 12,000 soldered connections. We're still using this radiator still today. So this is all brass, bronze, and copper. So the radiator itself weighs over 350 pounds without anything in it.
And the fact that they got all those welds right, that it works and no leaks, is nothing short of a miracle.
No, it is impossible to polish it because you can't get in there and polish them, but
Right.
that's just what it is.
So who do we have here on our...
That's the person that won
Our
the
hood
first Le
ornament.
Mans in France in the Renault car. So his name is, I can't pronounce it very well, but we can show it in print a little bit later.
Yeah.
So that's the person that won. That's the radiator cap ornament.
Now you didn't, this car didn't come with that cap. How'd you get that cap? I'm gonna just show the other side too because it is a little bit different. How'd you get this cap?
It was in a museum, and we talked the museum into getting it because we have the car, even though they had it on their display. So we got it from them.
You see the words right there.
And it's signed. It's a real ornament.
Okay, let's open up the engine compartment, shall we? That is one big operation. It looks like a some kind of a boat back in that time frame, something you'd see on the Titanic.
Yep.
I like the look on your face. You start smiling as you look at that.
It's neat.
It is giant. It is neat. Go ahead. Tell me about this motor
Well, the motor's
or the engine.
It's a 4-cylinder. This is how the dippers to start it. You prime it by pouring gas in those. You have all 4 of those. You have the water, and the water is thermos. It's there's no water pump. It's thermosiphon. So the hot water, the cold water goes through the engine, goes out the top of the engine into the radiator, is cooled by all those 3,200 coils, and back to the engine again. Again, no water pump to go bad. It doesn't have a fan. There's no fan on the motor, but there's a fan on the flywheel itself that sucks the air from this bottom pan, and the air enters from the back of the radiator and blows forward, which is unlike what a normal car is.
So the pan is specifically to push air through this way.
That's right. And this is simply a nice small intake manifold. How do you like that for an intake manifold?
Yeah, a nice small intake manifold. Well, this looks like intake, and this would be exhaust, right?
Well, this is the water, and this is the intake manifold here.
Yeah.
So this is the intake manifold.
This is the radiator water. Got it. I'm with you. I'm with you.
So the carburetor's down there. It's very low because it's gravity feed, so it has to be below where the tank is. So that's why it's so low.
Okay. Got it. You know, it doesn't look very complex.
Nope, just big. So this is the other end of the intake manifold.
Got it.
So that's your distribution points. This is your header system with just a exhaust manifold and your exhaust pipe. And you notice the size of it. You know, it's about 3 inches diameter.
Wow.
So it really big, really big.
And you got the open rods there.
Open valves.
Which is nice. Yeah, it looks pretty smooth. Okay, we'll close that. And as you close that, I'm going to step back. And before we turn it around and show you the back and the interior, we're going to show you some trunk and treats. Alan, we've got our trunk and treats, and I'll let you take this away. Tell us what we're looking at.
All right. This is a 1907 magazine from Europe, and this cover would inspire you to buy a Renault racing car. So that's the most inspiring thing in the world. In 1907, most of the cars went 25 or 30 miles an hour. They're clearly not going to go 25 or 30 dressed like this.
Yeah, and you can tell it's your car by that wheel.
Yeah.
Got it.
And then this is the owner's manual for the car that we're going to show you.
This is the actual owner's manual.
Yeah, well, this is actually the owner's catalog to order your car.
And I've marked a few pages there, and you'll see why in a second. But let's go right from the beginning. So look at that. Let's just show that for a second.
So it was made in France.
Beautiful. All in French. Give me just a moment. Okay.
And then from the earliest days, Renault's raced and won races. So these are much lesser cars than ours. These are 1, 2-cylinder, and 4-cylinder cars, little cars, but notice they're racing in 1900 to 1902.
This is the factory,
Big factory.
as you can see.
And then we continue with the owner's manual, or the owner's catalog, and it won different Grand Prix, different Renaults,
Okay.
all extremely big races of the day. Renault was there. Renault and Fiat pretty much won everything.
Okay.
We'll keep going through the manual. Here is a car that's very similar to ours. That's 1906.
Wait a second. These are the guys working. Got it. Okay. There's your cylinder heads. The guys working on it. No assembly line there.
No, hand built.
Right.
And now we'll get to the cars similar to ours.
Okay, so when you show this, go ahead, open that up. You've got the guys working here. I tagged that for a reason, because there's your car.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to show from a size-wise, if I do this, and if you can move that piece of paper, I'll move that piece of paper, thanks. Just kind of hold it just like this. Now I can kind of comparison. There's the size of this one. And if I come over here, you can see how little that one is compared to that one. Okay. All right. And we'll just continue just another page here. So
Once they developed through racing their big enough chassis and strong enough chassis and motors, then they went to limousines and buses and, you know, commercial vehicles, because they had a motor that would pull a car at 90 mile an hour. They could also pull a truck at 50 miles an hour.
We'll flip that next page.
And that's the same engine used in racing sleuths.
And there's the factory. We'll go to the last page. Nice. Okay. All right. Show me what this book is here, the log of my motor.
This car, these were ordered by WK Vanderbilt. He ordered about a dozen of them for America, and he was going to create the Vanderbilt Cup paved race course in New York.
Now tell me about Vanderbilt.
Vanderbilt was a sportsman, wasn't really interested in making money. He was interested in spending money.
Okay.
He extremely liked the cars, the automobiles, so he was kind of in despair that America had no powerful cars. So he went and watched the first Grand Prix in Le Mans, and in Le Mans, the car that won in 1906 was a Renault. It won primarily because it had 4 spares and demountable wheels, but yet it won. It beat a little bit faster Fiat of the day. So then he ordered a dozen or 10 copies of that were delivered in February of 1907, and those are the AIs, and that's what you're seeing today.
Got it. So this is his log. It's the only book he wrote, correct?
It's the only book that WK Vanderbilt ever wrote, and the log of my motor was when he took this car or another car of the same series, like it, to Europe. And then every day, every gallon of oil that he would use, every tire that he would use, you know, the distance that he would drive, he and his mechanician, he would put in this book.
Got it.
So it just
Pictures there.
so all the pictures are just either of where they're visiting,
The castle of the King of Bavaria. Okay, nice.
or the picture, or the cars in the picture too.
Okay,
But there's no other cars in any of the pictures besides his, if there's a car.
right. So he was just, that cathedral. So he was just going on his jaunt,
Yeah.
and there's the car. Look at that.
On one of the 8,000-foot elevation passes.
The Alberg Pass, the Renault car. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So to carry through what WK Vanderbilt's idea was, we raced this car. We did the Great American Race. We've done sports car rallies. We also raced the Monterey Historics at Laguna Seca. So down here in this picture that's when we're in racing trim, we take the windshield off. Of course, we don't want to break that. And we're totally safe. We have our helmets and we have our fire suits. And then the car we can hit in the 80-mile-per-hour range at the end of the main straights. And in the first corner, we slow down somewhat. and sometimes we do a broad slide, at least the first 2 laps. In 2012, we did a broad slide through turn 1, kept it going. That's all you could do. So we kept the power on, and we did a full 4-wheel drift all the way around turn 1 at Laguna Seca. The next day, Danny Sullivan was handing out the Rolex Award for historic excellence, and we got the award, not for going the fastest, because we weren't the fastest, because we kept our throttle in it going around the turn 1 at Laguna Seca all the way through and kept it sideways and came out of that corner.
Very nice. And on that note, champion, we will go to the back of the car. Our trunk and treats, we told you that we'd show you the back, and we wanted to have the sun on the back, and you'll see why. Tell me about these spare tires.
This was a race car, so it had 4 tires spare when it did the Grand Prix, when the model of this did the Grand Prix, and we have 4 spares for this. We have 2 on there now.
And then it has the back lights.
That's kerosene.
As you can see, and it has those emblems there. Everything has an emblem. That's our actual trunk. I guess you can open that just to show people. Thank you. There you go. We'll close that. There's your gas. Do you put gas in here, or what do you put? Something special?
Yeah, just ethanol-free fuel for sure. It gets about 2 miles per gallon when we race it, and down the highway it gets 5.5, sometimes 6 miles per gallon.
Okay, very good. Let's step on this side for a second. So I see this massive weight on there. And go ahead.
It's simply a wheel weight.
And what do you have holding? Kind of looks like string.
That string that goes in the spokes to keep them from clicking and clacketing.
Okay, got it.
They're wood wheels.
The wooden box, which looks really great.
That's batteries and tools are in there.
Got it. Tell me what we have here. This is for our headlights.
Carbide generator.
Okay.
This is the pump to put air into the rear tank. So we have about a half a pound of air, or 1 bar. This is a squeeze bulb.
Got it.
This is your outside hand brake. This is a 4-speed transmission progressive.
Wow.
2-to-1 ring and pinion, which makes you, to put it into drive, you're actually needing to go 65 or 70 mile an hour to put it in drive for a 116-year-old vehicle, which is amazing.
That is amazing. Okay. We've got obviously our side marker light.
These are kerosene.
Yeah, they're beautiful too. I mean, just look at the front of them. Wow. And I know we're going to come to the inside. Let's start with Brewster. What do we have here?
This was WK Vanderbilt ordered a dozen of these cars from the French factory in France.
We just learned about him from the books, right?
Yes. And this was given to Mr. Guggenheim, lived on Mansion Road. Mr. Guggenheim had Brewster in 1907, 1908, 1909, put some Brewster body work on this car.
Okay. And since we're down here, gas, clutch, or brake clutch?
Yes.
Gas, brake clutch. Got it. What do we have here? Is that an ignition button?
Yeah, ignition and cutout switch and a starter, because it's at 7.5 liters, it's hard to hand crank.
Okay. What's the...
That's for the Gabriel horns, and they're 3 4-foot long brass horns.
So when you pull on that, they make the sound?
Yes, they do.
Got it. All right. We'll just start right here because we are right here. Tell me what that is.
When you get a Jones speedometer, it comes with this tog, because the police at the time were on bicycle or were on foot. As you see, this speedometer goes to 100 miles an hour. So nobody on foot could approach that. Nobody on a bicycle could do that either. So that tag tells the policeman, don't give me a ticket. I know how fast I'm going.
The Jones speedometer. Our clock.
Yeah.
And a Jones clock as well. What do we have here?
That's our adjustment for the carburation, for the altitude.
Got it.
This is our tach, and our speedometer on this gauge is the same gauge, so the tach only works in high gear, in 4th gear. So at 100 miles an hour, it's spinning 1,600 RPM.
Wow. Our gas pressure.
And that's actually the air pressure into the gas tank, so that's actually what that would be.
Got it. Let me show the steering wheel. What do we have up here? Anything specific?
This is your fast idle, your hand throttle. You can move that back and forth.
Okay. Got it. Got it. And I'm going to just walk around to the other side. Let's come on this side and we'll take a look at some of the other badges. We specifically put it in the sun so you can see some of these. I'll start over here. So you're going to see these. What you can see, they're dripping right now because we just stopped it.
Yes.
So you can see them drip.
So the oil pump puts oil in this top piece of square tubing, and then about 20 drips per minute, it drips in different parts of the engine. This, even though it doesn't look like it, is still a total loss car. We use 2.5 gallons of oil every 225 miles.
There's how much oil you have.
So right now we have about 115 miles we can go with the amount of oil that we have.
Got it.
And we're trying to collect about a third of it, but you'll never see an oil distribution box for a total drip car anywhere near this size. This is amazingly big.
And what do we have right there? What's that? This right
That's
here.
for the exhaust cutout.
Got it. I'm going to slide over to the other seat. Okay, so let's start right here.
Okay, that's the Renault brothers made the car, and this is a factory car. This would not be one that a consumer would have. This would be a special order, extremely high performance car.
Got it. All right. This is for our altitude?
Yeah, radio Android. So this gives you your altitude and your barometric pressure, so you can adjust your carburetor, which is adjustable on the car. So it has both the readings on there.
Look at the beautiful turn brass.
Yeah, engine turn.
Yeah.
This is our medal for racing the Rolex Monterey Historic. So that one isn't old. That's been on there since 2012. Mm-hmm. These are the placards that came with it. Not that one. That's a mechanical service center in Paris.
Okay.
These are what came with the car. The serial number of this car is right there. And this here, that bronze image is of the race car without the fenders on it. So this is exactly this car, and that is the serial number of this car.
Wow.
And the interesting thing about it is it's for the United States colonies and Cuba. So France didn't know at the time that we weren't a country yet, maybe, and thought Cuba was part of it.
Okay. Okay, and the last one down here? This one here? Is this your, this looks like your VIN tag, etc.?
I think so, yeah, and it's got the same serial number of the car, so I think that's the VIN tag, VIN tag of the motor and the chassis and all that
and
stuff.
There's one more down
French.
there, right down there. This one here.
That's the owner. That's the agent that brought it over for WK Vanderbilt.
Okay, and the camera will get that better probably than we can actually see it, which is great. All right.
Did we do the key?
Show the key, please.
Okay, this is the key. It also had the keys to your castle. So the key, it's a Bosch ignition. You turn it in, push it, and now the ignition is turned on. And then to kill the engine, you push it in, turn it, and it comes back out again, or you can rest it there.
Got it. All right. I'm going to show that other side one more time since we have it in the sun. It just lets you take that in, and that is great. I think it's time we take it for a ride.
Okay, good.
What are we doing here as we get ready to start it?
Well, we have to prime it.
Okay.
It doesn't really have a choke. If it had a choke, you couldn't operate the choke and hand crank it anyway. The car has got a compression release. So it's 521 cubic inch, 4-cylinder, 7.5 liter racing engine. So what we do first, we prime it.
Okay, so let me come over here and watch what you're doing.
So on a cold engine, we're pouring that in.
Got it. Just look at it.
Now we have primed it.
Okay, look at that. Wow.
Okay, to crank start the car, you turn the compression release to the open position. So now the compression release is open.
Got it.
So now I'm going to try to hand crank a 4-cylinder, 521 cubic inch racing engine. many times a day to do that.
Congratulations, you still have both your thumbs.
Yep.
Don't shut it just yet. Let me take a look at what we've got. Give me just a second. Wow, listen to that idle. That's amazing. All right, we'll close that up. What are you getting me into this?
1907 Renault race car. 4-speed transmission, 521 cubic inches, 7.5 liter.
Now, I'm usually in the mechanic's chair. What usually
Mechanician's chair.
Mechanician. What usually happens to the mechanician?
They fall out.
They fall out. Okay. Thanks. Here we go. How's it feel driving it? I hope I'm doing that at the end of this ride. Oh, it's a torquey little beast already, I can tell it. Wow. Little speed bump here. Oh, don't lose your recognition. I like when we turn that way. There's a slide in here. Whoa! I hope we're in NASCAR. We're just making a lot of lefts. That way I slide right into you. Jeez. So, okay, I'll ask the silly questions. How fast have you had this up to?
In the 80s. I gotta go at least 70 mile an hour to put it into fourth gear, into drive.
Oh my gosh. And that's when you could turn on your bugle on the side there, that train horn.
Yep.
Tell a story about how when the porter was coming home, he would, go ahead.
I don't want to talk, I'm gonna drive.
All right, you drive. I'll hold on. It's in a lane. Now, we're only hitting speed bumps. What would this thing be like in 1907 on a race course?
Well, it would average 60 miles an hour on a oval rate horse track even. No speed bumps on a horse track.
Right. And you said you had this up to 80.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And this car, you've won races with it.
I've been in lots of races. There's always some car that's newer, like 20 or 30 years, that could maybe go faster.
Okay.
Or maybe be able to brake better or steer better. But But if I get out front, they're not passing.
Braking here for the speed bumps. Definitely a instant fun maker, no question about that. Jeez. I think it's see the reaction to that curve or not. Well, Alan, first of all, I know only the wealthiest